Eddie Chapman's life was anything but ordinary. Born in 1914 in Burnetfield, County Durham, England, he grew up in a working-class family, showing little sign of the extraordinary twists and turns his life would take. Restless and ambitious, Chapman moved to London in his youth, where he quickly fell in with a crowd of petty criminals. By the 1930s, he had established himself as a safecracker, specializing in blowing open safes using explosives, a skill that would later catch the attention of German intelligence during World War II. Chapman's criminal activities earned him the nickname the Jelly Man for his use of gelignite, an explosive. His criminal exploits took him across Europe, where he often eluded capture by British police. However, his luck ran out in 1939 when he was arrested on the Channel Island of Jersey after attempting to rob a nightclub. Sentenced to several years in prison, Chapman found himself behind bars when the Germans invaded Jersey in 1940. As the German occupation of Jersey tightened, Chapman saw an opportunity to escape his grim future. Always the schemer, he approached the German authorities with a bold proposition. He offered to work as a spy for the Nazi regime. Intrigued by the prospect of having an Englishman working for them, the Germans transferred him to Paris for training in sabotage and espionage. For Chapman, this was less about loyalty to Germany and more about survival and self-preservation. In Paris, Chapman underwent rigorous training under the Abwehr, Germany's military intelligence service. He learned techniques in sabotage, coding and radio operations, as well as how to blend into enemy territory. His mission, as planned by the Germans, was to return to Britain and sabotage key infrastructure, specifically the de Havilland aircraft factory, which was producing planes critical to the Allied war effort. The Germans saw Chapman as a valuable asset and parachuted him into England in late 1942. What the Germans didn't know was that Chapman had no intention of carrying out their plans. Upon landing in Cambridgeshire, he immediately turned himself in to British authorities and offered to become a double agent. Initially, MI5, Britain's domestic intelligence agency, was sceptical of his story. However, after interrogating him and analysing his potential, they decided to take a calculated risk and enlist him as a double agent, codenaming him Agent Zigzag. Chapman's first major mission as a double agent involved convincing the Germans that he had successfully sabotaged the de Havilland aircraft factory in Hatfield. MI5 staged an elaborate deception, complete with fabricated photographs of the destroyed factory. The Germans fell for the ruse completely and rewarded Chapman with the Iron Cross, an extraordinary honour for a foreigner. This success cemented the Germans' trust in Chapman, giving him the ability to mislead them on a larger scale. One of Chapman's most critical contributions was during Operation Fortitude, the deception campaign designed to mislead the Germans about the location of the D-Day invasion. Using Chapman and other double agents, MI5 fed false information to the Nazis, convincing them that the main invasion force would land at Pas-de-Calais rather than Normandy. This deception caused the Germans to divert significant resources and troops to the wrong location, directly contributing to the success of the Normandy landings on June 6, 1944. Chapman's ability to maintain his cover was constantly tested. On one occasion, he was ordered by the Germans to sabotage British shipping operations. Working closely with MI5, he staged another elaborate ruse, creating false reports and photographs to make it appear as though he had carried out the mission. The Germans, satisfied with his apparent success, continued to trust him implicitly. Chapman's missions also involved high personal risk. During a return trip to Germany for further training, he faced intense scrutiny from the SS, who suspected him of being a double agent. Despite the pressure, Chapman's quick thinking and charisma convinced his interrogators of his loyalty to the Reich. This close call underscored the constant danger he faced. Any slip-up could have resulted in his execution. Another notable moment in Chapman's wartime career was his role in feeding disinformation about V-1 flying bomb attacks. The Germans relied on Chapman to report the accuracy of their missile strikes on London. Working with MI5, Chapman provided false coordinates, causing the Germans to adjust their targeting in ways that minimized casualties and damage. This operation not only saved countless lives, but also disrupted the effectiveness of the V-1 campaign. Chapman's charm and adaptability made him a valuable asset, but his personal life was equally colourful. Despite the constant danger, he managed to maintain relationships, including one with Frida Stevenson, a woman who remained loyal to him throughout his double life. Chapman's ability to balance the personal and professional aspects of his life was a testament to his remarkable resilience and charisma. As the war neared its end, Chapman's activities as a double agent became less critical. The Allies were gaining ground, and the need for disinformation campaigns diminished. However, his contributions had already made a lasting impact, from saving lives through misdirected V-1 bombings to ensuring the success of the D-Day invasion. Chapman's work also extended into disrupting German military logistics. He provided MI5 with critical details about German troop movements and supply chains, which were used to plan Allied bombing campaigns. This intelligence played a role in weakening German defences in occupied France, giving the Allies an advantage as they prepared for their final offensives. One of Chapman's most intriguing assignments involved his coordination with other double agents. He worked in tandem with operatives like Juan Pujol Garcia, known as Garbo, to feed the Germans consistent and credible disinformation. Together, their efforts created an elaborate web of lies that disoriented the Nazi command structure and delayed effective countermeasures. Chapman's actions were not always smooth operations. On one occasion, a poorly timed German order clashed with MI5's plans, nearly exposing him as a double agent. His ability to improvise under pressure prevented the mission from unraveling. These moments highlighted the razor's edge he constantly walked, where a single misstep could have cost him his life. In late 1944, Chapman played a role in deceiving the Germans about Allied bombing targets. By supplying false intelligence, he misdirected German anti-aircraft defences, allowing critical bombing raids to proceed with reduced risk to Allied pilots. This effort was part of a larger strategy to weaken German industrial output and hasten the war's end. Chapman's time in Germany during training also allowed him to gather first-hand observations of German morale and infrastructure. He reported on the declining conditions within the Reich, including shortages of supplies and growing dissent among the population. This intelligence provided the Allies with valuable insights into the weakening state of their enemy. Another significant aspect of Chapman's work was his ability to exploit German overconfidence. The Iron Cross he received served as a powerful symbol of his supposed loyalty, allowing him greater access to sensitive operations. This trust enabled him to manipulate the Germans further, feeding them misinformation that often contradicted their own intelligence. Chapman's ability to blend charm with deception made him a unique asset. His German handlers viewed him as an eccentric but capable agent, never suspecting the depth of his duplicity. This perception allowed him to push boundaries and take calculated risks that paid off for the Allied cause. As the war reached its conclusion, Chapman was involved in one of his last significant operations, providing cover for Allied advances into Germany. By feeding false information about troop movements, he helped create confusion within the German command, making it easier for Allied forces to penetrate enemy lines. After the war, Chapman reflected on his time as Agent Zigzag with a mix of pride and regret. While he had played a critical role in several key operations, the constant danger and moral ambiguity of his actions weighed heavily on him. Nevertheless, his contributions remain a testament to the extraordinary lengths ordinary individuals can go to in extraordinary circumstances. After the war, Chapman struggled to find his place in a world no longer defined by espionage. He briefly considered returning to a life of crime, but ultimately decided to capitalize on his wartime experiences by publishing his memoir, The Eddie Chapman Story. Though the book brought him fame, many details of his work remained classified for years, leaving much of his story shrouded in mystery. Chapman's legacy is one of contradictions. To some, he was a hero who risked his life to deceive the enemy and save countless lives. To others, he was an opportunist, a criminal who found a way to exploit war for his benefit. Despite these differing perspectives, his impact on the war effort is undeniable. Eddie Chapman's story is a testament to the complexities of human nature and the extraordinary lengths to which individuals will go in times of conflict. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories and share your ideas for the next video in the comments.